We'll call the meeting to order, the Griggs County Commission. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. John? Here. Dale? Here. Mark is going to be late, I guess. Sean? Here. Troy's here. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Dale to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll move on to approval of the February 22nd board minute, or commissioners minutes. Wayne? Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Should we put an estimate of what the percentage increase was to the ag land? It was 7%, wasn't it?
It was gonna go up 3, aren't we at 80?
I thought we were at 83 and it was going up to 90.
I thought we were 87.
Yeah, I think we were 87.
Okay.
Should I make sure and then put that?
Yeah, so an estimated 3% increase to ag land valuations in Griggs County.
You got it.
Anything else?
Move to approve the February 20 syndicate minutes as amended. Dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to approve the minutes from the February 22nd meeting and dispense with, approve them as corrected and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then a special meeting from February 26th.
Move to approve the February 26th minutes as presented. Dispense with the reading.
Isn't it March 8th today?
Yes.
It says we're gonna meet in regular session on March 4th and the 18th. I think it should be the 8th and the
22nd.
22nd, maybe.
That must have been last year.
It's from January. It was supposed to be January. Yeah.
Okay. So, did somebody approve the, or somebody made a motion, John?
I
Or
did.
you did?
It's not gonna work until we do an amendment now, is there?
That hasn't been seconded,
No.
so Is there a second to Dale's motion? Is there a second? Is there a second to the motion? Motion dies for lack of a second. Anybody want to take a stab at it again?
Let Dale fix his mess.
Move to approve the February 26th meeting minutes with corrections and dispense with the reading.
Second.
It's been moved by Dale, seconded by Sean to approve the February 26th special meeting minutes with the correction of the future meeting dates. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Continue on to the bills.
There's 3 that we would like to get added on if we could. One is H.E. Everson's for $624.87.
That's road or something?
Yep. The next one is American Welding and Gas Incorporated for $769.95, and one for Town and Country Co-op for $10,682.97.
That fuel.
Yes.
Road.
Yep. All those are for road.
Got one right away off the bat there, that insurance for 8830. What company is that? EMC?
Which page are
Is that
you?
an underwriter or something?
First page.
Very first.
It's probably insurance for this building, isn't it? I thought.
Was that being
Yeah.
through Insure Forward?
Yeah, I think that's insurance on this building.
Right, would it be under the E's or the?
It should be E's.
New courthouse.
Yeah.
They're the underwriter through Bank Forward.
Does somebody carry the property and someone carries liability? Because that dollar value seems a lot less than it was.
Yeah, it wasn't like around 20 before.
Yeah. Is it annual or quarterly?
It says total minimum due $740, so it must be for the whole year.
And that's property or just liability?
Property and general liability.
Mm-hmm.
The general liability is $1,800 for,
Not very much.
and the property insurance is $7,028.
Oh, dollar wise. I thought you meant that was our coverage, $1,800 worth of liability.
Oh,
Not get you very far. So that's a whole annual payment then, right?
there must be a little bit of a discount for paying it up front. Samantha,
Excuse me, what?
is there a discount for paying this up front?
I'm not sure. Would you like me to call them?
Call who?
That company?
$740.84 times 12 is $88.90.
So there's a $60 discount, right?
Alright.
If you want to wait on it, and I can call them and see what kind of discount we're.
That's all right. I didn't recognize the company name from before.
So, this insurance policy is in the building authority's name. I suppose they're the owner.
Of this side.
But in the contract, it states, if I remember correctly, it states that the county is responsible for the insurance.
Right, but the
Building authority
is the lost
Lost
payee,
payee, that's correct.
or the bond, probably the bondholder.
Well, no, then the bonding company then has it against the building authority. They signed that over in their bond.
Any other questions on the bills?
I do.
Okay.
Can I see is there a bunch of overtime on the sheriff and the two deputies?
I would have to go and grab their timesheets.
Because I mean,
Hold on, actually.
the gross values here, if you take that times 24, it's way more than the budgeted salaries for.
I know that the few of the deputies did have some overtime. I'm not really sure how much this month they had. And I don't have that M files on my laptop here.
And there is some budgeted overtime in that.
If you look here at this one, your expenses.
What's the date?
No, well, it looks like they should be on schedule. It didn't look like they had any overtime here. Cause you guys budgeted $51,401.20 for the sheriff. Chief deputy is $41,197.03, and the other deputy is $38,497.95. And at the close of the books, all three of them use 16.76% of the budget. So I think they should be on schedule there. I don't think they should have any overtime there.
26. So this is bi-weekly, so it takes times.
You are
Is there 24 pay periods that we figured?
24. Yep.
So there must be some overtime on some of these. There's the last one, if you take the 2350 times 24.
Yeah, really, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So it must have had some overtime there.
Well, it should show the overtime budget in there, doesn't it?
Or, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, that, okay, yeah, okay.
There's 1920 overtime.
Yeah, I was looking at their salary. I'm
Yeah.
like, that doesn't
Right
seem
there.
right. Yeah, okay. So then it came out of overtime, and there was actual year to date, month to date, so $1,920.15 of overtime used.
Out of a total of how much budgeted?
12,000.
25 year to date, and then the actual monthly was 1920.
Yep. Yep.
Very good.
Where are you at? Right,
On the expense here on this overtime, this is what they've used year to
second
date.
page in. Which one? One more. One more.
Oh, just remind yourself, I need a
Yeah.
current budget too.
That's right. Okay, sorry. Yes.
This one is the monthly and year to date.
If we forget again, we have to have a chemical analysis of what you're drinking.
Fresca.
And
So that overtime budget's within budget still.
Right. So no, so it's all on schedule. They've used.
Okay, anything else? What was this, a whole bunch, was this just a mistake?
Yep, that was a mistake. Got voided, and then that's the correction right there.
Ah.
Yep.
Okay,
scared when I see redaction.
Well, I want you guys to see it. I'm not, trying to cover up
I
anything.
can't see it.
it's redacted.
It's redacted.
Hold it up to the light. Just kidding.
Anything else?
Move to approve the vouchers as presented with the additions of Everson's for $624.87, American Welding for $769.95, and Town and Country for $10,682.97.
It's been moved by Sean to present the bills as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Monthly office reports?
The due date on the taxes for the discount was.
February 14th.
February.
Yeah, that's why. You notice that on the daily cash balance, balance brought forward of 4.7, and the totals of 5.4. $2 million came in with $1 million going out. Incentives were.
I paid mine before we went to Mexico. So that would have been in that time period.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of other people did too. If they didn't, you either pay them before the end of the year so you can put them on your taxes, or you wait until till February.
Evidently they did. $2 million came in the month.
One and a half.
Hard to keep up.
Any questions on the monthly operating?
Tongue-tied today.
Yeah.
Well, actually, 2 today. There's only 20 working days.
No, that's true. Any questions on the office reports?
Move to approve the office reports as presented.
Moved by Sean to approve the office reports as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Kim. 3 minutes ahead of schedule.
Hey, all right.
Can I join her up?
Sure.
I'll just turn it over to let you introduce yourself.
Well, I'm
again.
Dwayne Howe. I think I have to talk to you a few out in the hallway.
I worked with NDSU Extension from way back the mid-70s. I was here during the John Swenson era when he was your county agent up here. I mean, I used to be his district director way back at one time, like Kim is now for your extension office. Retired back in 2012. But with the vacancy of the extension director last summer, I was asked to come back part-time and help out with extension. So for about 4 or 5 months, I'm basically retired, but working half-time with Kim and her colleagues on helping with some of the extension activities. So that's why I'm here.
Thanks, Mike. So I had talked to Sean shortly after Megan had resigned, and we thought it would be helpful to just visit at some point with the commission about the vacancy and the next steps. So just want to bring that to your attention, that's why I'm here, and see the thoughts on refilling that vacancy.
I would just start off by saying, you know, when I left, and I think it's still the policy today with NDSU Extension, that NDSU Extension's committed to its partnership with county governments on having a county extension network across the state, as long as that's what the county still wants and the county's willing to participate at the agreed to, you know, financial partnership level. So virtually that continues the same as it was back when I was around, and that's still, after they went through an extensive review a summer ago or so, it's still the policy that NDSU is following, and work through that policy with North Dakota Association of Counties and the County Commissioners Association. So. But it's a joint partnership between the County Commission and NDSU, so that's why Kim's here, to see what your wishes are as we move forward.
Is there still, didn't you say there was 20 openings for county agents?
We continue to keep moving through the list. So we have, in the East District, which is where Griggs is in, there's 4 that are in movement right now, and there's 4 vacant. So there's 8 of the positions, and then there's a few others. So there is a waiting period for getting the new agents. So what we do first is, the first thing is when we have vacancy, is check with the commission to see if they value the partnership and want to continue to provide the funding that we have. The 40-60 model is being used right now, which is a full compensation model where 40% is paid by the county and 60% is paid by the state for the agent's salary and the value of the fringe benefits. And so, did that answer your question? That we have, yes, we have vacancies, but we still want to see where we are with each county to put them properly in the list. So if we have support, we'll put them on the list. If we don't have their interest, then we don't put them on the list.
I would say though too, Extension went through a budget cut with the state legislature last session.
Correct.
And so that's why this process that they're doing, where trying to prioritize vacancies and not able to refill all the positions that we had in the past because of that budget reduction. Right. But having said that, I think it's also a continued priority to try and have a professional staffing presence in every county. So counties that don't have anybody, I would guess, get pushed up the list a little higher as compared to counties like Cass or Burley, where there's maybe 5 or 6 extension agents and they have a vacancy, probably end up waiting a bit longer until the budget's ready to support that. So to maintain the system across the whole state, you need to have people. And if there's no people in some counties, you basically don't have the program. So. But that's what she's getting at. There is a process they're going through because of the budget reduction in the state legislature to prioritize the process for refilling vacancies.
So how many counties have opted out?
0. Some have wanted to learn a little bit more and kind of work through different systems in terms of like Billings and Stark, and comparing one does one function and the other county does other functions. So they don't have an office in Billings, but they share some work together.
Billings is the only one, going way back before my time, back when all the counties voted in their mill levy to have an extension program. that elected to do theirs jointly with Golden Valley and Stark County, and the Little Missouri River is the dividing line. And so that's the only county in the state historically, and still to this day, that does not have a full county extension office in their county. They go between Dickinson and Beach, but every other one does, including Fort Berthold, Newtown, which is unique in that it's a tribal office for just a reservation. Sioux County has their own office, but Sioux County and Standing Rock are both a county and a tribe, so, but there's a partnership there with the county government too.
So I guess to answer your question, technically there is one, but that hasn't come up for discussion in years and years.
Shouldn't it?
Pardon?
Shouldn't it?
What's that, Troy?
It seems to me that with the budgetary constraints as one reason why you would look at a model that's altered from the one we've used for the last 100 years, on top of the fact that the world has gotten much smaller and technology has advanced so much that it seems to me that we should be able to provide extension services with less bodies than we did 50 years ago. Number one, the economies of scale in the ag industry have changed the number of people in the ag industry by a huge number. And every one of them has a tremendous resource while they're going up and down the field with their auto steer. They can reach out to NDSU like this.
Yep.
And I think we should, that needs to be recognized. And that's one of the reasons that these positions have a hard time getting filled, is because there's so many of them, and they're not really competing with the rest of the world as far as whether you're a animal science graduate or an agronomy graduate or some other field of discipline. I feel your pain, but the revolving door in the extension agencies or extension offices around the state, it seems abundantly clear when you have 20 openings that maybe we should erase the chalkboard and draw this baby over again.
You bring out a good point, Troy. You bring out a good point, and I'll just share a little bit of background on that question. Back in the mid-90s, Governor Sinner at that time recommended going to a regional extension center across the state. There was a budget bill that the legislature didn't pass because the counties didn't want it.
Right.
And so we maintained the county system across the whole state back at that time.
No, I get that, but that was 30 years ago.
Last session, when he went through the budget cut, they went through an extensive review again, and you guys probably seen the publicity where they were gonna do a lot of things different in small counties in terms of changing the partnership, and people didn't want it. The people, for the most part across the state, continue to value and want this connection in their county back to this higher ed system. And you're right, Troy, if all you look at is the service component of extension with less farmers and maybe not as many 4-H members, you could easily make that argument that you should be able to get by with less people. But if you look at the proactive opportunities that some of these county agents have developed in their counties and the level of activity that they have generated because of their connection back to NDSU and the connection and relationships they have in the county, it's still strong. And that's why, for the most part, people across this state still value and support having this county-based network.
I did look too at the numbers in 4-H, because I know that 4-H is very large here, and it's 23% of the youth in the county, so almost a quarter of the kids in the county are in 4-H. And when Megan started around 2014 versus the 2017 numbers, there was a 30% increase, and actually the 2018 numbers, there's a 61% increase of youth that joined 4-H. So you do have a large 4-H program compared to other counties. There is a vacancy right now.
There's a whole bunch of kids from out of the county that come here for 4-H, so that number is not a very strong, that's not a very good number. But they can still have 4-H. We had Boy Scouts in Belva.
Yeah, and an agent isn't necessarily required to have a 4-H program, I don't believe.
Technically, for North Dakota, it is, because we're funded, and I do have this information if you want to see it.
Besides that, if we had a bigger service area for the county agent,
Right.
you'd just have more 4-H kids. I mean, so the reason that we get kids from our surrounding counties is because we do have a stronger 4-H program. That could still happen.
One of the things that they have in place, and it's still an option, is for counties to two or more counties to get together and figure out how to do this as a single entity. That's still an option, but it typically takes 2 or more counties to want to do that.
That is the problem.
And Foster's open right now as well, so it's one of your neighboring counties. They do not have a full-time ag agent. They still have a part-time agent right now that can run the 4-H program. But we are authorized from from Congress to have through the USDA and NIFA to have the state run the program, and so we run the insurances, the liability, all the educational materials, the curriculum. Just like the school has DPI approved their curriculum, the university has that approved. So I mean, if Foster's open and you're interested in merging, that could be a conversation. I did talk to Nelson. I was there this week to do performance reviews with their chair, and he did say, I said that if you were interested in merging, you may talk to them at some point, and he said that they'd already made a decision not to merge as a commission.
Well, that's been a wish of ours for many years, is to merge with another county if we could.
Right.
You know, land mass wise too, you know, Griggs and Steele and Foster are the same size as probably Barnes or Stutzman is alone. And
Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively small county. That's true. Mm-hmm.
So is Foster, so is Steele, so is Trail, so is Wells.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that Nelson County doesn't want to do it is because their extension agent didn't want to do it. Well, I've been in the workforce for a lot of years. That's not how the decisions ought to be made. So I'll just leave it at that.
They're
Unfortunately, that's how decisions are made in bureaucracy.
I know
That's the
that.
problem.
And the reason nobody wants to combine these extension positions is because they think that it's some kind of economic development. Well, government doesn't create wealth. Government only destroys it. And I'd like it to destroy less.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge a little bit with combining is that they're already at full capacity, you know, with evenings and weekends a lot too for just their one. And then when you combine, we do have
Then you have to set priorities.
Well, we do have to, when we do combine, we do have to figure out which count. They can't do all of this times 2 and the travel time.
Mhm.
So it's
You
one
consolidate
fare,
the
it's
programs.
one, you know, so I mean, if your county's willing to share a fare and only have one fare and one 4-H council and
Right.
share between the distance, we do have guidelines. It's not an impossible. It's not
Right.
impossible.
I mean, it would be a smaller geographic area than Stutzman County, even if we combine 3 of these counties around here. Because they're just not very big.
The history I have up in Devil's Lake, when Joe Belfer was the county commissioner up there, he really promoted this idea of a regional extension presence. And Towner County, Nelson County, forget which other one up there, were brought into meetings about doing this. And to make it work, you needed to go from 3 county agent offices to 1. And that was the roadblock.
Sure, that's the sticker.
That was the roadblock.
That- I know,
You
I get it.
No county wanted to lose that portion of it.
Yep.
And so and we even took county commissioners back at that time down to Kansas, because they actually have a state law that allows your mill levy authority in the county for extension to organize a regional mill levy authority. So you get 3 or 4 counties together and you pool your county mill levy and you use that to manage the extension program for that region. So we went down there back in the early 2000s with county commissioners from up there to study that model and tried to bring it back to make it work. And we're still at having a full-time county agent in every county. And they went through this process again, Troy, last year with this review in Oliver County, and which ones were it?
Steele next door,
Steele County, and a
Sheridan.
whole bunch of them.
You want to
Showed
see
up
my
in a-
Steele County tax statement from the last 3 years? They don't really care what happens to the taxpayers in Steele County.
All I can share with you guys is that
We have a little different approach.
yeah, the support from across the state has continued to be very strong for doing extension work. And if you look at the opportunities it can bring to a county with an agent that's really good, it's huge.
No.
There's no question in my mind.
I question the support part of it here. Now, you're equating that our government functions according to its principle, that the elected officials are in contact with the people that they serve, and the people that they serve are directing the elected officials to accordingly. You talk to county commissioners. I don't believe that if I went and talked to the people that I represent, that they would be in support of it. You're able to convince the county commissioners, not the general public, because it goes without saying that if we have a program that general tax dollars are supporting, that's supporting a minor portion of the county, it probably isn't a worthwhile function.
Right.
Tax dollars should be available to support the majority, or at least have the ability to support the majority of the population.
Right.
We don't have that here. So the agent is a conduit to NDSU. Right now, the conduit to NDSU is right here. Anybody can pick up a phone and go on your website and do exactly what the agents used to do. If I went to the county agent's past and asked him a question, he would call NDSU, get the information, and bring it back out to me. The county agent now can be skipped, let alone the fact that there's no more crop consulting done by the county agents, or so minimal that it's no longer a function. So the 4-H program is a worthwhile program. There must be a way to keep that in place without having to go through the rigmarole of hiring the county agent, and whether we get a quality county agent or not, that's irrelevant, and then have 2 years later another job opportunity comes up, and on they go. And it's just this big merry-go-round, coupled with the fact that these are dollars that could be spent somewhere else. And again, I'll just about guarantee you that if you went to each person individually and said, do you want your tax dollars spent here or here, and you outlined what the service provides now, they would say, well, we like the service, but in today's times, the money should go elsewhere.
What you're saying is correct, and I would counter that by saying if all extension is a place to go to get questions answered that you can Google on your phone, it should discontinue. It's got no relevance in today's environment.
Yep.
But I would argue it is much more than that, much more. And if the people, not you guys, but the people you represent don't support it, it should go away. There's no question if the people don't support it. The only reason why extension is around is because people do support it.
No.
And there was a time when budgets were tight that our option was to put a vote to the people to increase their mill levy for extension. And when I was around, we did a bunch of those, and at least 95% passed. So I would support your argument. If the people don't support it, then get rid of it. If the people do,
if it's presented to them correctly, I can't believe they would. I may talk to people all the time. It doesn't be because it doesn't affect very many people anymore. You're missing the whole point of this. Yes, when it used to affect 80% of the people in one way or the other, it was a very worthwhile, and everybody said yes, we have to keep it. Who does it affect anymore?
That's the question that's got to be asked. In a county where the program's strong, it reaches a lot of people. That's all I would say. In a county where it's been diminished and it's got this musical chairs where the people, there's not a continuity of somebody helping lead the program, it probably does diminish. I would not disagree with that.
And I
Here's a quick sheet I put together, and this, just to share with you guys. And this is just from my memory bank, which I think is still relevant today. Some of the basic stuff that a county agent in the name of agriculture and 4-H should be bringing to the people of the county. You know, and you're right, it does serve as the access to NDSU. It's the front door for the people. The agents should be doing more than just answering questions. They should be taking the research that's being developed at NDSU and use it in a proactive way to help people in the county address issues they're facing. Extension provides lots of leadership building opportunities. If you look at committees, roles that they play, that sort of thing. The place for unbiased answers to questions, certainly. If you go to a crop company to get a recommendation, they also sell a product, whereas the extension service, the university, is that place where you're supposed to be able to get unbiased information. County programs that are functioning well have a lot of activity going on in the county that brings people together around educational events, around activities that not only provides an educational support, but help support the social and other fabric of the community to help people want to be there. And then if you look at that list of agricultural stuff, I mean, there's a bunch of things there that are even in state statute that extension is supposed to deliver in a county. Mm-hmm. Like commodity elections, the seed increase program, farmers that want to access new
What's
seed.
a commodity election on that?
The soybean council, the corn council, all those have county representatives that are elected on a 3 or 4 year basis, depending on their bylaws.
Yeah, it's in the century
And,
code as
and
well.
Extension has the responsibility to work with those organizations to conduct those elections in the county.
Why?
Here's the crux of it. If what you say, if Extension was providing a service that was beneficial to the county, don't you suppose that would be a service that would be used over going and paying a crop scout for the same service? You're providing something that's free. Private industry is providing something that has a cost to it, yet the growers and everybody else chooses the private industry that has the cost to it. So you're competing in a market here, but you're not competing in order to draw the customers. It doesn't make any sense to me. If your service was needed, people would use it. People don't use it, so it must not be needed. Does that make sense?
It is.
That's not being used, you're right.
That's business. I've been in business my whole life. If I have a product that I'm trying to sell and no one's buying it, I don't try to sell that product anymore.
And I think, in time, the agents' jobs have changed. And again, about half of the job is right now, not half, but there's a large percent in 4-H because that's a program that needs an organization to fund and work through it. I'm hearing and I've heard for many months and probably years now that it's the value that you're not sure if you're getting from Extension from having an agent. So, at this point, and we have short-term decisions to make and long-term decisions. So short-term is you have about 90 kids, about 100 some kids, just look at my resource, that have a potential fair coming up that we don't have an agent to run. So we have to come to some conclusion about are you interested in keeping Extension presence, and if not, then we need to ship those kids to other counties for their fare. And then long term, if you're not interested in an agent, you can work with some other counties to see about those 4-H kids and getting them to another county. You could end the relationship with Extension. If you can find it on the web, then you can find it on the web. Mm-hmm. I know I have been contacted by some 4-H families, and they are very interested in having their 4-H program continue.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that there is a need at some level. Yeah. But at what level does that need become to the point where everybody in the county has to pay for that need?
Right. So, in the past we've done 1.0, so you'd pay for one full agent. We are willing, because of the size, to reduce that. I did some breakdowns of numbers, and And we typically try to go to 0.7 because they're still benefited at that level. And if you try to go 0.5, you'll probably turn it over again, you know.
Remember last time, no, sorry, go ahead, but remember when we had the budget cut? And
Right.
we went through this discussion, and at that time, we weren't willing to make up the difference.
Right, I remember that
Okay,
very easily.
Okay, so we weren't willing to make up the difference. We were in opposition. We finally said, okay, we will give the county agent other duties
Correct.
that we're paying for right now, and it worked out okay. We have $5,500 or so into the.
For the weed.
Weed board.
Okay, so now we're also faced with the fact that if we get a new county agent on board, now he or she has other duties besides that of the county agent. So,
Right.
so now we're at a disadvantage right away because now we're subjecting the county agent to more duties than they would going to some other county. We still haven't addressed what this new proposed budget cut for the upcoming
That's correct.
biennium is going to do to this. Are you going to be back to us again saying, okay, well, they cut, the legislature cut us, we're not willing to take that cut, we want to make that up somewhere else.
Right, and I know.
See, the
that's-
legislature's been trying to downsize you guys have been kicking and bucking and not doing it, trying to make up
And
the
we-
money
we-
somewhere
yeah,
else.
and I mean,
Because they're
we
stuck in the
don't-
middle of the county commissioners and the legislature, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, we are in the middle. And
I mean,
I would say this, the
challenge.
session this time is much, I've been out there quite a bit, it's much more harmonious. The extension budget in the House side, which is the tough side, was restored to a hold even, which we think is positive. The governor recommended a 95% budget. The House Appropriations Committee passed the budget at a hold even level. The research side got reduced by 5%. So now it's going to the Senate on March 20th. We have a hearing with them. But you're right. I mean, I think it was a mistake when they got the budget cut last time, that they brought it out as a reduction around our partnership with you guys. I mean, if you're gonna maintain a strong partnership with county governments, we should have kept that
No,
off the table,
But
but
they-
maybe reduce the number of staff, not change necessarily the formula.
They were trying to force to consolidation. They were trying to force consolidation by doing that. NDSU took it to mean, no, we're not going to consolidate. We're going to go out and try to bring in excess income from somewhere else, from county agents, from doing other jobs, from commissions kicking in to make up the difference. Extension didn't get the hint on what the legislature was trying to do.
But we did, I mean, with Esper, we worked on this new model in terms of making those smaller communities try to combine, and they refused, and Esper decided
Exactly.
they decided not to.
It's the
So
county,
we had-
it's the county commissions that
So
put
we had
the,
to-
put the wrench in the gears here.
You're right, so,
And-
yeah, I
and-
mean,
and-
so
and last time,
we're
just to be-
stuck, but you know, we're trying to move forward. So
Extension
you know
could
what?
come out and say,
Just to be
you guys
fair-
have to be doubled up with somebody. You could say that right there, and that would solve the whole thing. The county commissions would be out of it. We don't have a choice. We got, either don't have a county agent or pair with somebody else.
Right,
Simple.
right.
Well, we have guidelines, but none of the counties wanna do it, so they are willing to pay though, they're willing to keep paying, so
Yeah.
that's the challenge.
That's the
So-
problem.
And so if they keep paying because they value that agent, then that's what they're willing to do, and so we keep going, so.
Last session too, though, I don't know if it was a signal that extension should do something different, because the experiment station got cut the same too. Budgets last time got whacked in the state legislature, 13–14%. So, but this review that extension went through tried to get at that question, because that's what some of the insinuation was. And the County Commissioners Association was a part of helping make that happen, along with SBAR. And that's where they're at. Back to the value that most counties, all counties still see in having this program available to them, so. That's, you're making discussion points that are good, and they were even discussion points back, I gotta tell you, in the early 1990s. When I showed up in Extension Administration, the first question was, why does Slope County need a county agent? There's only 700 people in that county. Why would you continue to have a county extension presence out there? And that's when we went back to the County Commissioners Association and said, hey, we're committed to doing this as long as that's what the county partner wants to do, and you're willing to pay for it.
Right.
And as long as Slope County wanted it and they were willing to pay for it, we did it. And I was the first to say, we could make this work rather than 52 counties. We could make this work with maybe 40 locations pretty easy because of geography.
And now you
But
could
you
do
guys
it with
help
less
figure out how
men.
to get
Yeah.
that to work.
And
because
you're
we've
right.
Never done it in the past.
We have tried to do this with Nelson County and Steele County before, because these county agent openings come up frequently.
Yeah.
Well, they
And-
come up in certain counties that are less supportive, and that's unfortunately how I feel like we're challenged here, because I don't feel like that there's a lot of support, so.
But
So
you're
we
just
do-
talking to us.
I am talking to you, yeah.
You know, that's why you think there's a lot of support in other counties, because you're talking to the county commissions there. Now, if you took a survey of the general population in those counties, you might not get the same answer.
But we might.
You might, but you might not.
But I would argue we might not. We might get the opposite too.
And you
I mean, I've
have
had
the
people
decision.
calling me from Steele County, so what are these guys doing? Our taxes have gone up 20% in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, because they're funding stuff they oughtn't. And they're not looking for ways to do it better. And that's I feel sorry for you guys, because
Yeah.
you're kind of in the middle of this
You know, I
deal.
think one of the options.
And
too-
our deal too, we're frustrated too.
One of the options, I think, extension was brought in through a vote of the people. It can be taken out through a vote of the people.
Right.
And that, I think, is pretty clear in the century code.
It is.
you
I
know.
mean, if you choose, you can. It's in the latest version. I mean, it has been for a long time. You
Right.
can discontinue a tax levy for extension work, and then that would end on the 31st of December. So if you choose that, you can do that.
We hope you don't.
Right.
We
But
think there's value in the system, but,
But we're not a vote of the people though.
No,
yeah,
no.
That has to go on the ballot.
yeah, it has to go on the
Right.
ballot
Right.
before
Just
general
like,
election.
just like when we did.
But that puts us in kind of a pickle, because there's not going to be another ballot till 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
no, so what's the language, the contract between NDSU and the commission then, that whether we want an agent or not? So can those funds go somewhere else besides an agent? If we said, well, okay, we don't want an agent, what would happen?
I believe it says that you can't. You have to give it back. I've read
Your
something
funds
about
or
that.
our
The
funds?
extension funds.
Yeah, see, that's what we're talking about, two different funds, your
Yeah,
funds,
state funds or county funds?
county funds. If we decided not to fund our portion of it,
Mhm.
I think,
It does.
I
talk
think you'd
about
have
that.
some obligation in the century code where if you didn't want to do anything,
Discontinuance,
Don't-
yeah.
quote me on this, but the way I
Then don't-
read it,
then-
you'd have to
then
go
don't
to a
tell
vote of people to
Then
lower
don't tell
their
me
mill
about
levy,
it.
the 2.5 or 3 mills, whatever Griggs County has on the books for extension, I don't even know what it is. It's something over 2 mills.
I found it. It says upon discontinuance of extension work, accumulated and unobligated funds remaining in the special fund for that purpose must be transferred to the county general fund, and the special fund must be closed out.
there you go. So we do have the ability to do it, yeah.
But
So the 4-H can't continue without an agent in the county? Is that the way I understand?
the 4-H program really needs to be connected to some professional extension agent that has the training and the connection to the program. I mean, we went through this with our state 4-H program leader. He's pretty clear. Because of child protection, because of the legalities of the 4-H trademark, because there's fiscal activity within the 4-H program, the child protection training, the fact that volunteers have to be screened in order to be a volunteer in the 4-H program, that's all got to be connected back to the 4-H program, typically through a professional, through an agent.
So if we don't have an agent by July 11th, we can't have a county fair?
I'm not gonna say you can't have a county fair, but
So how
Somehow,
we-
going
how we-
forward, we'd have to figure this out, because it would be very problematic.
I checked with my colleagues, so, because they've had situations like this where you only have one agent and when the agent leaves. So if the commission is interested in continuing with extension, then they have, contracted to finish the fair until they get the person hired, you know, just do that major function. If there wasn't interest, then they would just have to end the 4-H part of the fair, so.
And I think what youth could do is participate in another county.
Yeah, they could participate in another county.
I guess, you know.
But the surrounding counties don't have real strong programs, I don't think.
They don't have the infrastructure you have. I mean, they have
Achievement
nice,
days.
yeah, they have Steels and Achievement Day.
No, I know, I mean, but I don't think there's, like, we got kids coming here from Foster County, Eddy County, and Steele County
Mhm.
because it's a bigger deal.
Yeah, you have a lot of animal space.
What's the longest, right now, what position hasn't been funded for the longest, or hasn't been filled for the longest time? I mean, do we still have some up in the western counties that are over a year since they've had a county
There
agent?
was one that was a year and a half, Botno.
Yeah.
Eddie's been, or let's see, Foster's been open for a little while.
Yeah,
But, and part of the reason is because it's a little bit smaller, and so, I mean, we've been debating a little bit about that in terms of, is there any merge potential, you know,
Right.
so.
I think last time you showed us a map and it
Yeah.
showed the
I didn't
openings.
bring it, but yeah.
So then the question is, in that county, Botno County, that has an opening for a year and a half, what's become of their 4-H program?
They had another agent, so she ran that
Okay,
program.
so it was a dual.
Yeah.
agent
Many of the
program.
counties have two agents, so, and when there's a vacancy, like Walsh right now has a vacancy, so does Pembina, and so does Grand Forks, and other agents that run the 4-H program. I mean, it's bare bones, but it's
Right.
something.
Could we have, right now, we have a part-time secretary for the county agent.
I did check.
Could she?
Get the training to do
run the
because
program?
I checked
your
on that.
child protection and all that stuff must be something you teach after the fact, because I'm sure they don't learn it and,
No, they go through training for all of that, yes.
right, it's not something they get at with their BS degree at NDSU.
Right. I did check because I, thought this might come up, and there's a couple challenges. One, she's only 20%, so she's barely keeping up with the current work because she's doing the agent plus agent-related duties.
No, but that could be increased.
But we could change that.
But she's also on the transportation and treasurers. She's 100% with.
Yeah, but they could change all of them, they're saying, so.
However,
That could change.
she doesn't have, she has an accounting background,
Yeah.
so none of our job descriptions are based on accounting. And I did ask, and she's, that's not of interest for her. She likes to do accounting, and that's what we paid her to do. So.
I think what we're talking about is a 4-H coordinator.
Right, I know, I hear you, yeah.
The reason it
Without
came
an
up is because
agent,
one of the 4-H parents called John and said, you know what, this is where I think we should move this direction. And we don't know which direction to go, so we're just asking questions.
Sure, and that's fair.
I'd like to try gauge what the people in my district want to have happen.
Mhm.
You're gonna make phone calls, you mean?
Yeah, I called one guy yesterday, and he was very supportive of it.
Okay.
I mean, I gauge it by participation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is really the true gauge of whether or not it's needed or not is participation. Is 4-H participation high?
Well, the willingness of the taxpayers to pay for it too, whether they use it or not. Some will pay for it,
Yep.
regardless of whether they use it or not.
Yep, there's true, there's some nostalgia in it.
And
There's some
That may not be how you
loyalty
and I
to NDSU.
look at it.
There is a lot of that. I agree.
If a guy
And it-
owns
and if it's-
15,000 acres and is willing to pay the tax on it, you can haul it and pay the tax on it.
Oh, no, I don't understand.
So you were saying he is, or the person is supportive of
Yes, very,
4-H.
very.
Okay.
No, there's not zero support here, but is it 50% support, is it 50% usage over the whole,
Right.
all the services offered? I don't think it is. But that isn't saying that there isn't some good done by the agent.
Right,
This is a question of whether or not it is cost effective.
I think we're gonna find more support than we're gonna find usage.
Correct.
Which makes sense.
Well, the usage is contingent on the level of program the people you got in these jobs are delivering.
Yeah, how good they are.
How good they are, you guys. I mean, and if you go without a good one for a while, it diminishes pretty fast, no question. But you go in some of those counties, visit with your Oliver County commissioner sometime.
John
Visit
Swenson's
with
are
the
far and
Renville
few
County
between.
Commissioner sometime. Visit with them, they're about the same size as you guys, are smaller, but visit with them and see what's happening in their county. Why do they come out of the woodwork so strong? Because they got a strong agent and they got a lot going on, and the farmers use them. There's no question. So what you're all saying is not wrong.
Right.
And I'm just saying, it's a house of cards. If it goes for a while without strong support, it diminishes pretty fast because people don't know what they're missing.
So stand up that agent so we can have a look at him or her, and then we'll make the decision.
But you did have a strong agent, you know.
If we're gonna talk what ifs, let's have a big what if.
You did have a strong agent, but she does not feel supported. I mean, I felt like every meeting, it was like you really, I struggled with the value you placed on that person. And she left, and I could have guessed that she'd leave the first time I came to the meeting. So, I mean, there's something that needs to be done. And when I go to other meetings, they're very supportive of their agents and the value. So I think it takes a mindset change. If you're gonna get a new agent, that they know that this county and you support that,
So,
yeah.
We very rarely saw our county agent. I don't know how she got that feeling.
value, it all depends on, I have a perception that we're not, I look at everything as my job as a county commissioner.
You're the county agent.
almost, well, either demoted or give myself a raise in stature, is to look at the fiscal business of the county,
Right.
not the emotional business of the county.
Your
So
job, yeah.
that's my job.
Yeah, I hear you.
So when we look at a county agent or the road department or anybody else, we look at it as, is the tax dollars spent, because the county doesn't have any money. We take money from the citizens in order to,
Correct.
is that dollar being spent beneficial to over 50%, or does over 50% of the county residents have access to that dollar being spent? And unfortunately, the county agent has diminished to a place where I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
And there's
I've heard
there's
from
other services that did the same thing in the county, and we ended up setting them to the side, and those are decisions that are made. And if we're making the wrong decisions, then this process is supposed to be that the citizens that we represent say, you guys are screwed up, get out of here.
Right, or they talk to you about it, and I think people are interested to come to talk to you from, like I talked to the president of the 4-H Council, and he's also the Fair Board president.
Yep.
He's the one that's saying, what do you want me to do, because we don't have an agent? Do you want me to keep running this fair or not? So, so yeah, I mean, if you want to hear them, I'm sure they'd come and speak.
That's a local person?
Yeah, Matt Hogan.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
And he's glad to come.
I'm not saying there aren't people. I'm saying, does it reach a percentage where this needs to be funded by everybody in the county? That's the
That's the bottom line for you.
that's how I look. I mean,
Decision,
that's
yeah.
our job is to run the county fiscally, just like you would run a business.
Right.
A business that actually has to make money, not a business that gets to be
Right.
funded
'Cause
and then
government's-
decide how to spend the money.
I mean, government's somewhat different, because you have social services that doesn't benefit 50% or more. I don't know what the percent is here that gets that, but you still have to provide that and other functions that maybe don't benefit the majority of your citizens.
Well,
but it's required by
that
government.
decision's been taken out of our hands
Yeah, that's true,
by
as an
people
example.
that supposedly know more than we do. I'd argue that point, but
I think one of the milestones that extension, and I know out with people in the legislature, because they're struggling to make this decision too. I mean, there's a big budget that gets passed for NDSU
I
extension
know.
on Bismarck every biennium. And one of the key points is looking at it as an economic development investment. And to get at your point, Commissioner, where what does it return to the people in the county fiscally is a valid question, no question about it.
Right.
And I can't give you specifics about Griggs County activities, but I can bring all kinds of information that shows what the value of extension programs related to the big weed amaranth that's going on, the soybean cyst nematode, the soil health, the alkali soils, there's all kinds of economic study and data that's put on those programs to show the kind of return that they're giving to the citizens of this state economically.
You're talking about NDSU as a whole.
I am talking about the
Again,
program as a whole.
right.
I can't relate to exactly what's going on in Griggs County, but if you could drill down.
Well, we have
to that
access to
point.
We have,
Yeah.
It's pretty-
the agent is the conduit between NDSU and the people. This is also the conduit between NDSU and the people.
Right.
I have access to every bit of information an agent has access to by going to your website.
Well, actually,
So-
there's a lot more, but I mean, but that's, you have a lot of access.
So,
That's our.
why can't you
benefit.
give us, if the agent is servicing 25% of the people in Griggs County and through the 4-H, which I agree is a very good program, why can't you give us the ability to have a 25% agent to manage the program for us? If we deem that the only purpose of the agent, or the primary purpose of the agent, which you said yourself, is 4-H, let's try to then have an agent that can take care of the 4-H, or someone that can do that at a lesser cost to the taxpayers.
Right, so then that would be a non-benefited position. I mean, we did ask a little bit about that, and that's why I said if we could go down to 0.7, which would save some money, you know, on the county, that's our kind of our cutoff. At this point, I mean, maybe that's some conversation that you continue to have with our state office, but that's, you know, 0.4 is another option, but then there's no benefits, and there's a chance of high turnover when you get to no benefits, so, unless you find the exact right situation.
Maybe there's a retired district supervisor looking for a overtime job.
I don't know.
He was making
Well, you
fun. I don't think Dwayne wants to move to Cooperstown.
It seems pretty hard to make a decision unless we know exactly what the duties of that position entail, and so how do we know who's gonna fill it if we don't even know what it takes to fill it?
I have job descriptions, I can certainly send those
Yeah.
to you. I mean, but we don't have one just with 4-H, except for the big cities, because they have huge programs.
We used a model, and I think we used it up here too, I know we did, when Teresa McElroy was, I think, your home economist, where we had a full-time ag agent, and we were trying to figure out how to address the family and consumer science programs that still are very valid. And what we did is come up with what we call an 80-day home economist model, where we entered into a partnership with counties to hire people on a quarter-time basis, just to do that work. And you know what happened? Most of those programs grew into full-time.
Mhm.
Because those people, we hired good people, they showed up and with what the demand was. It was back in the 90s. And a lot of those grew into a second agent position in those counties. But there's history there where you can go with a part-time model and see if it would work.
And so they do have a something in the bigger counties that is a 4-H specialist.
It's a full-time 4-H position, and part of the reason is because of the large amount of
Mhm.
youth and the programming, where we just debated this in Walsh County about just hiring a 4-H coordinator, and the challenge with that is it ebbs and flows. So there's 90-hour weeks during the state fair, and then there's times when there's really low to no 4-H activity. So we ended up deciding when we get that on, it's on the list as it's a family and community wellness agent, but we put 40% family and community wellness duties and 60% 4-H to kind of deal with the fact that they want more 4-H, but we don't have that option for the smaller communities because they have less kind of big times.
So could we advertise for a 0.4 position that strictly dealt with 4-H? Well, maybe get there eventually, you know.
I want to say yes, but that's been really it's there. I don't know if it would go.
No. I'm not saying you have to guarantee we hire somebody. Could we advertise for that?
I can check with the state office.
Like I said, we've done that in the past, but typically we've done it in a county where we had a full-time agent
I understand.
and a secretary, and then we added to the program with a part-time person.
I understand.
But to have that as your sole present, I don't know.
It is a 10% cost on
You'd have to
benefits for
figure it
us.
Because that would be non-benefit if you
It
want
would
to
be
record
non.
it,
It is,
yeah.
but it's still
So
there's
it's a
still a 10%.
low-cost way to do it if you can find somebody to do it.
Yeah, I know that they're not thrilled about that idea just because we're trying to keep there's various reasons, but, I mean, I can certainly ask if that's what you feel like, if that's what you want, I mean,
Well,
I can.
no, it's just my opinion. I don't know,
Right.
but again,
And-
just don't know how much use the county agent
I would worry
was to the
about.
rest of the services that could have been provided, and it wasn't her fault.
Mhm.
It's, times have changed.
Yeah.
Again, when a farmer's willing to go pay for a service that's free, how do you justify that service, that we have to keep pushing that free service when you can't even give it away and they don't want it?
Mhm, mhm.
Well, they don't have the time
That's, yeah.
to put in
Right.
the
The
hours.
crop
and
consulting,
the
where you
crop
go out and do
consulting.
individual acres. I mean, I can share
Yeah.
with you, I gotta do one more page. This is the county agent up in Renville County, which is probably the most saturated county when it comes to crop consultants is any in the state.
Yeah.
And so you wonder, how can we still have an ag agent up in that county? So I asked her to put together for me what a typical picture of her ag program would look like in Renville County. And these are the bullets she came up with. And one of the main ones is the work she does in concert with those crop consultants.
Mhm.
And how those crop consultants on her NDSU plot she's got up there in her county, how they're so eager to get their stuff into those plots because of the unbiasedness of NDSU. That along with seed increase. She's one of the strongest crop improvement agents in the state, where if you look at when a new variety comes out of NDSU and it's made available to farmers for grow out, which is an economic development opportunity because there's more money involved in it, there's typically growers up in her county that get seed.
What's her name? Renville County?
Lowain Voigt. And she's been up there for a while. How long has she
A
been?
long time.
Before your time.
Yeah.
But it's a small
What's
county.
the county seat? It's
County
not-
seat is Mohall.
It is Mohall,
Mohall.
okay.
Yep,
So it goes all the way to the border.
it does, but it's a narrow county. I mean, it's
Right.
smaller than Griggs. if you look
Right,
at
but I
the
mean, it
size.
starts just north of Minot almost, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's right up on the Canadian line, yeah. But
Right next to Botno County.
either,
So-
just the phone traffic an agent like that gets on horticulture questions,
Mhm.
lawn and garden questions from the people in Cooperstown, or people in Mohall in that case.
Yep.
If you
Okay.
got a good agent, it's significant, and there's more work than they're able to.
So you
they'll
got-
come to you, a good agent will come to you asking for more help.
That's right next to Botno County.
It is.
So you should pay her twice as much and get her an assistant, and she should be the agent in
For
both
both.
counties. Well,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because, okay, you got a good one, you know it's a good one.
yeah.
Yep. You
Pay
can
her
make
so
it.
she
Botno and
stays.
Renville wanted to do that, they probably would.
Right, they wanna pay for their own.
Okay. So you convinced me. We'll take her.
You know, you guys, I appreciate it, having been around Extension, that top-down, I mean, we've always tried to drive the Extension system from the bottom up. And so it's not that we're resistant to consolidating. I mean, certainly I was an advocate for that back in the 90s, if that's what counties wanted to do. We came up with all kinds of plans. In fact, the guidelines that you see that Kim has, I think were developed back when I was around.
Right.
In terms of the things you gotta consider when looking at consolidating a couple of counties.
And you didn't have a smartphone in your pocket,
And no.
and you didn't have access to the internet.
And it didn't fly back then, but maybe, I don't know, maybe you guys wanna enter into a discussion with Foster County. They're vacant right now too. Maybe there's a
The hiccup there would be the amount of infrastructure they have in 4-H. They have a big fair over there, too.
They do, they have a lot, they have 104 in their clubs, yeah.
We'd have to all be polite and take turns.
I do know that there has been talk about combining with Eddie, and that has not gone over, so I'm not sure, again, it may be one of those counties that says, no, we're paying for our own, we want our own agent, but it's your
Sure.
choice if you wanna check with them,
Right.
So I think, I mean, I know there's other people waiting to happen. I can certainly, come back or visit with Sean, or we can certainly try to figure out something for the short term. You've got a fair, if you're gonna have it, they need to know soon. And then.
No, I think we're gonna have it. You just gotta figure out how we're gonna make that work, and not necessarily with an agent.
I mean, you could have the fair without an agent, you just can't have the 4-H part without supervision of like an agent, so, I mean, I can check a little bit more into how they can do that without it, with either, I mean, for instance, I forget which counties, when they didn't have an agent, we contracted to have someone there for the fair. But again, with that willingness that they wanted to keep extension, so I can come up with more options for how you can do that.
And I would bow out by saying, if this can be replaced by Googling on your cell phone, then you should do it. But I would argue that extension is much more than that, if it's done well. It's more than just finding an answer to a question. And that cell phone is a wonderful tool. I use mine all the time too.
You misunderstood. Extension cannot be totally replaced with the cell phone. The crop consulting part of it has already been replaced by another entity. The 4-H is what we're talking about here. And we're talking about having to have a full-time agent to take care of a program that should only 50% time or 25% time. That's what we're talking about. So it can't be an either or. It has to be some kind of compromise.
Right. I mean,
And I don't
no.
understand why
Sorry.
this bottom up. That's pretty convenient. Why doesn't extension say, okay, Griggs and Foster or Eddie, we're not allowing you to have an agent. Each have an agent. We're requiring that you share one. That would solve the whole problem. I think that's what the legislature was trying to do when they cut your budget.
The legislature tried to do that back in the George Center days, and it failed. But they didn't do it this time because they tried to cut our budget. We haven't done it here because we have studied other states where they have done that. Minnesota is one. And what I would encourage you to do, if you know any county commissioners or farmers, better yet, farmers in Minnesota,
Or South Dakota.
visit with them about their extension system. There's the reason why we haven't done it. Because it hasn't been a positive change and it hasn't been that effective in those states where they've taken that approach. And Minnesota did it. Minnesota went and took all the state money and said, you don't go to partner with counties anymore, you put in regional offices. And they had a rebellion for a while, then they come up with a deal where, okay, if a county still wants a county agent, they gotta pay like $80,000 a year to the University of Minnesota, and they'll hire you a county agent. And a whole bunch of them have them back, and they don't like it, and it's a different arrangement. And that's, long story short, I could spend a lot of time with you guys talking about this, because I lived it, and we didn't do it here because we felt driving it with what the people of the state wants, rather than a bunch of us administrators in the ivory halls of NDSU deciding what's going to be best.
Well,
That's the reason. That's the reason in a nutshell.
okay. Well. I wouldn't say that you're neutral in the position, because you're hearing from one portion of the state that's questioning whether or not the program is going according to their wishes, and you are bucking back on them saying, of course it is, you guys don't know what you're doing. Here everybody else is doing, likes it, why don't you? You have to be able to understand that we want to serve the people with the programs that are working.
Sure.
And we're all in agriculture, and wasn't the agent's fault. The industry has just run away from using the county agent for what it used to be used for. And now it's being used for extension, so let's downsize it and have a county agent for extension.
Okay. Encourage you to visit with county commissioners in Renville County and Oliver County, just to get a comparative to your description.
Yep.
Okay.
So I will just retouch base with you, Sean, and see what you want to do next.
Well, we have to have we have to have something in place here. We're not saying no. We want something in place here to cover what's needed.
Okay.
I think we'd be ideally with more stability with the program if we could almost find somebody locally that would fill the position
Mm-hmm.
for a long time rather than trying to move somebody in.
Right.
You know.
It's just limited time to
That's
get
what-
at this
Exactly.
point.
Right, and so I would say that what we would like is if you would check with state offices, see what our options are.
And I
If-
did,
if-
and that's why I said that the lowest it goes 0.7, so, and I did check on 0.4, but they said no, so I mean,
Oh, I
That's
thought
why
you were
I-
gonna go check on
I
it.
mean, I can check again, you know, based on what you said, I'm like again stuck because
Right.
some of the
Because if we
reasons-
could hire somebody, like Mark said, if we could find somebody local that's interested in doing it on a part-time basis, I mean, the training and stuff with the Child Protection Act and all that stuff can be done.
Yep.
It's not done prior to hiring these agents now, so it certainly could be done later.
I mean, the two
It
people
has to
that-
be done before, you can't have that kind of thing
Yeah.
without them being,
But the two people that did it before still live in the county. You know, John still lives here, and so,
Swenson?
yeah, and so
Yeah.
does,
Right.
Lori Hazard, who is the
Oh, Lori,
secretary. of the
yeah,
county.
she was the secretary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and both of them still live, so if we had to go to get by for the year, we have people that are willing,
You have
that are
those people
able,
that you could.
have
That's good.
experience
I don't know
in
if
how to
they'd
do
be
it.
interested. You'd have
Maybe
to
they
ask
wouldn't.
them.
I don't know.
Maybe they wouldn't be.
But if we compete, if we put out a position for a .4 position, a .7 position, try to compete with the rest of the state, we're not gonna get anybody. If we do get somebody, it's not gonna be good. If we're gonna do it to that point, then we need to be able to try to locally advertise for the position, have the person that's gonna fit that .4 position, then send them to NDSU for the training. I think that's the only reasonable way to do that. I don't think we're gonna find a qualified county agent out there that wants to work
Part-time.
.4 or .7.
No way.
exactly, that's the
You'd have to
challenge.
find
Yeah,
I don't-
a
you-
local
you're either
person
offering a
sometime.
position or you're not.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it
Yeah.
comes down
So
to.
what I would like to see is to try to find somebody locally that's interested in the 4-H and then have NDSU train them to the point that they can actually be in charge of the 4-H.
Right, but I hear what you're saying, I'm just not sure how that,
At what level, though, 4/10, is that what you're thinking, or?
No,
Like said,
I don't know I don't know at what level.
because it sounds like you're saying you almost want to kind of disengage, are you saying that you don't want them to be with NDSU, you kind of want them to just do the county thing? Because it's not, NDSU works with the agents all year, doing training and various topics and keeping engaged with 4-H online, there's all these systems they use. So it's not like you just get one-time training. You have all kinds of stuff all year that they need to do with NDSU.
Personally, the people that I hear from when we talk about the county agent, the only service that they put forward is the 4-H. I've never heard anything else in a long time that, oh, we have to have a county agent for this or this or this. It's always, we have to have a county agent for 4-H. So if we could fill that need somehow, that would be wonderful.
If we had, I mean, you just said it was, takes 50% of their time roughly or whatever, so if we had a 50% position, I mean, that would presumably cover their ongoing training after they were hired. I mean, why wouldn't it? It's included in the agent's time now.
So a 50% position, we can't do because the fringe rate is out of this world. So you would be paying almost as much as a 0.7 just to pay for 0.5, because we have to provide benefits at 50%.
Right, the fringe benefit cost is sort of the tipping point on how high of a percentage you'd want to go, and that's why it's either 4/10, you don't have to pay any fringe benefits, or at least get up to 3/4 time. So it's worthwhile, because the cost is incremental, in terms of the fringe benefit cost.
But you're talking a agent hired by NDSU. Maybe we're talking an agent that is the employee of Griggs County at a 50% level for 4-H, and maybe we find a 50% position somewhere else in the county. So it is a full-time position.
Oh.
The duties are shared.
You can,
And that's what, why can't we have somebody, why can't we find somebody to fit the position and send them to you for the training?
it
Or for the
doesn't,
certification, how's that?
it just doesn't work that way. And in,
I know it doesn't, but it should.
the NDSU program oversees the 4-H aspect, and so we can't do the 50% without a huge fringe rate. We can't separate the county. Sorry, I'm kind of getting my words mixed up. The county running a program, they don't have all the liability and all the pieces that NDSU is providing. So it can't be run that way. It has to be through NDSU because of the federal mandate.
Or supervised by somebody.
But it can be run at 4/10.
I think you're gonna be disappointed, but I
That's a
mean,
state formula, I suppose.
Right.
Because if we have a 50% employee, I think we pay a percentage of the benefits, right?
No. No. That's why it's 6/10 is,
You have to be 3 days.
Oh, you don't get any until the 6th.
but I mean, so we're talking the same thing, so NDSU picks up 4/10 employee and it's 6/10 employee for the county, it's still a full-time employee. No different we're doing it now.
But you'd have two different jobs, is what you're saying, right?
And I mean, in a small county, you try to share duties because you
So
can't have a full-time
You had the
person.
weed control program tied to your
Right.
extension
Right.
agent before too, didn't you?
Right.
And it's common. I mean, that's done in a lot of smaller counties where they use that funding stream. to
So
support
we're already
their
parked
side.
that way, and then she also did what
Complimentary.
other jobs?
Just weed.
Just weed?
Yep.
Well, she was the secretary for the
township.
county.
Association of
County.
Towns.
And that's
I think the
typical of a
garden
county
club,
agent too.
I think
They
we did
typically
it.
do that.
Yeah,
And-
she had a lot of roles.
And that we gave her the weed control position when the funding was short, and
Right.
we didn't want to just kick in more money.
Yeah.
And we happened to have an opening, and it worked out real well. But, so now the county agent in Griggs County is gonna have additional duties if we hire one. I mean, we're gonna have to hire one that will also do the weed control.
Right, I mean, that seems like that is how you afforded it, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we could also probably find some other duties, and we can either whittle it down from the top or from the bottom, but
Other duties that are complementary would be, weed control, there was some township officer, I mean, I have to look back at the list, but we had some other funding options that if the county wasn't able to cover their costs, but
Oh, it's on that
You know.
it's
Yeah.
on the document, if you flip the other side.
Wayne's looking for a snowball driver.
yeah, well, complimentary.
We do require that the person that does the 4-H youth development has a bachelor's, so that's another university requirement.
All right.
Sweet, so they're trimming the road.
Yeah, that's right.
Say Sean or?
Sean.
Travis is the portfolio,
Sean.
or Sean is the,
Yep.
okay. Okay, whatever you wanna do.
So you're gonna cover one way or the other, someone's gotta cover the fair.
Right, so I'll talk to the state office and see, I mean, you have some good suggestions, maybe we can grab a retired person and get them up
Maybe
to speed
John's willing to
again.
come back and,
For a year,
yeah.
to be the in-between person or whatever.
Take loss.
I don't think
so. I know John my whole life, very good friend. He's retired, he likes being retired.
Or maybe Lori.
Yeah, Lori might.
Lori might.
But she's gone a lot in the winter time too.
Yeah, but I mean, just for this
Yeah.
summer to help us
Yeah.
through this time.
At least for your fair.
John
I
just
think
fishes,
that-
doesn't he?
She used to do a lot of it
Okay.
when.
Winter
when
time,
was
too.
our county
Huh?
Ice fishing in the winter
Really?
a lot, yeah.
Okay.
See if you can find us a county to share with.
I can't, you have to do that.
It would really be nice if we could do it with Steele County. Steele County doesn't have the active fair that we do here, and
And they have a good agent, Steel Company.
they have a very good agent.
Yep.
And that would have been a real nice fit,
Yeah,
but if they don't have the interest, we can't force them.
right. She's pretty overloaded too right now. I mean, there's a lot of kids. They have an archery program in Trail County and lots of stuff going on.
Oh, she's
there.
Steel Trail.
The archery program is.
Yeah.
There's programs where they partner. She's strictly Steele County, but she's got an archery program where her and the Trail County agent get together and do.
Archery, extension, don't get
Archery
Yeah.
and the 4-H,
Don't get
shooting sports, that's a big activity area with.
Customer's choice.
Because we do an archery program, but it's through our school.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Some
extension
schools.
probably started that back
No.
in the 90s.
No, it was parents. It was bull hunting parents here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind
Yeah,
of going.
Joey J. Grover is probably the one that
Yep.
got
All right.
it.
Russ,
Well, thanks for listening to the
Okay.
And
conversation.
if you can find us somebody, this girl, I guess, is the one we need.
Well, hey, I tell you what you could do is decide to fill it full time and tell her that's what you need. And don't hire until you find some person like that. That's exactly right.
They come with a guarantee.
Well, do our best.
We have to support- we have to support.
I bought lots of used cars that way, man.
I'm
I've
just
seen you
thinking-
guys.
Yeah,
now.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
all right.
guys.
I think in our March 14th Township Association meeting, we can probably gauge a little bit
Yeah.
better how
Yep.
much guys want to pay for this. My thinking is that they're willing to pay for it, but they just don't use it that much. They want it available, it doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna be in there every day utilizing the service, but they're willing to.
But even if you took all the farmers in Griggs County, that's a very small
Very
proportion. of
small
the
percentage of
population,
taxpayers.
You know,
Well,
No, but the landowners are the ones that are.
Pretty good
smart.
size protection of the taxpayers, I mean, dollar wise.
Yeah, I know, but we don't do things dollar wise,
Yeah.
guys. You don't get one vote for each dollar you spend in
Well-
taxes. That's not the way it works.
So then the people of my district, we between Sean and I, we probably have, well, it's all divided out equally. But anyhow, in the city of Cooperstown, you know, they had the garden club, and she was quite active in that. And I think they maybe would, if you wanna go by people wise, they'd probably miss it a little bit, but,
I'm not saying it's a worthless
no.
position. I'm saying it has limited services, and we should try to scale it down so they can take care of those limited services.
When we're in a township, I always compare it to, you know, what would you rather have, $50,000 worth of gravel or $50,000 worth of this?
Crop cutting.
Whatever, you know?
sell-
It's always a
do you
push
sell a
pull.
lot of gravel that way?
No.
Again, I'll go back to an analogy of use. If people don't use it and it's free, and they pay for a service rather than use a free service, it tells you that that service is not needed.
Sure.
But it's needed for the 4-H, so let's try to find
Yes.
let's try to find someone that,
Can really keep that going.
when they say they can't, they don't mean they can't, they mean they don't want to. Because that's not the way they've done it.
Yeah, you could, well, they know the 4-H is where you're gonna get your kick.
What's the state office? Is that like on home improvement? They're talking to Mr. Wilson over the fence or what?
I think it's more like the Wizard of Oz, the guy behind the curtain.
His cousin.
Unquestioning control. No, I don't know what the state office is. But
Wayne,
Page 25. Reimbursement request for $21,442.34. Also 1176. Any reimbursement request needs to be approved and sent in.
That's for the local share of progressive estimates 2 and 3 to Riley Brothers. 19.7.
Reimbursement request for payments to be already paid.
I think one of them was just approved it. I think it'll come up today.
14,007.
I think the $7,000 one comes up today, doesn't it? Mr. Bill? That's the impression I got from Patty's email, but I don't remember exactly. You're wrong.
you guys want to send that in?
And after this one, there should just be one more for the final estimate, for the local share of the final estimate to Riley Brothers. When the DOT gets through the records, those have been submitted already to the Grand Forks District. Anybody have any questions on that one? Overall, the project came in almost exactly at the contract amount of about, I think, $900 under what the final payment will be to them. Most of the items were basically paid at contract amounts. We're set up to do that.
I move submit for reimbursement on project BRO CMOC 0020032 for an amount of $21,442.34 from the State Highway Department.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second by Mark. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried.
Page 33 is a email I got from Randy Reimers, North Dakota Emergency Services, and because it's looking like there may be a flood or a disaster, in the past, there's more or less just been a verbal contract between the townships and the county to take care of the FEMA projects and the FEMA work, but they want to have a form filled out, so I'm going to bring this to the township officers meeting next on the 14th and try to get as many township guys that are there to sign this, and it has to be signed by the county commission chair at the bottom, and they want it within 40 days, I believe.
That's basically for you to act as a project agent.
In the past, the reason I got it, they sent it out to the emergency managers, but then me and I got it also because I've always been the applicant agent, and the one that deals with all the inspectors and the projects and stuff, so. Reimbursements. So they said in order to get it done, send it to me.
And the highway superintendent, Ramsey County does the same thing.
Bureaucrats are making more work for themselves and everybody else.
Covered. So that we're responsible for any audit or whatever, which we've always been responsible.
So you're gonna bring 20 of those to us after the township officers meeting?
Hopefully, right?
I'll bring the copies of this just to the township.
So you're gonna have your secretary type up 20
You
of
can have a
those things?
stamp and stuff. I can print them up on my email. I sent that.
I know, but you gotta put each township on there. You gotta put a township on each one, right?
Yep.
So you're gonna have 20 of them.
Right. And those that don't come, we'll just mail it out.
Sure.
In a letter.
Okay.
Question that. So that's the 13th. Here, right there, or at the courthouse.
Is that something that we have the chair sign ahead of time, so when they execute it, it's done? Or?
Could be. Will you be here for the,
As far as I know.
otherwise, I mean, it can be done easily. And then Paul has got,
But the county commission's gonna have to vote on approving the agreement. I can't do it without a vote.
So you
or
can do it
maybe
in
we
one
could
shot?
do it right now.
Huh?
They could do it right now, then just to approve the form and then just, fill in the people.
With each
in the
township.
No?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. would you guys like to approve that thing today, or do you wanna wait until the townships get done?
No, we can approve it today.
What's that?
We can approve it today and then you can
Yeah.
sign it,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I'll have to sign 20 of them,
We'll get you a stamp.
and it don't matter.
If 3 or more of you are at the Township Association meeting, though, that's a special meeting too.
I know, but there's not gonna be a majority of every township there. They're not gonna be able to approve it at that meeting. They're not gonna have quorums there, I don't imagine.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
Maybe we should mail it out to them.
So the question is, do you wanna approve this agreement with all 20 townships today? And then Sam could, or somebody could get them typed up with each township name on them and the date, and then I could stop here and sign them, and then they can mail them out to the township supervisors, and they might have to call a little meeting and approve them.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay,
We got some good bids this morning on the fixer project through Sutton. Morris Seal Coat was low bid at $265,445.12, and I've got it typed up here. And that was about 13.9% below the engineer's estimate, and then there was 3 bids, and the high one was above the engineer's estimate, so right where we'd like to see it.
so the state awards that?
Right, at the engineer's estimate?
Bituminous paving was a few $1,000s higher than what we estimated, and 2 of them were below. Morris and Aztec. And those are the 3 those are the only 3 that I've ever worked with, I guess, on chip sealing. But
And you're comfortable with the job done by all of them?
yeah, all 3 of them do a good job. I think we had to have one. I've only ever had to have one come back and do any. Well, no, 2. I've had to have 2 come back, I
I
guess.
think we had more seal coat here last time. We had to have them come back. To redo some of the fog seal because
Oh.
and then also they had it stockpiled down by Napa and it was just a swamp back there and stuff was rotting up and they were taking mud and grass and everything.
Oh, no.
Chipping.
And
So
they're
the
the low bid?
Yep. They'll be, so the DOT will be sending out information on, which
So the person the group we've had trouble with is the low bid,
Yeah.
is what you said?
Just because of the low bid doesn't mean that.
I know,
always have
that's
to accept the
just
low
what I was
bid.
looking to see what
Yeah.
the next bid was.
But
So
you
it's
do-
$14,000 higher. It's 265,000 compared to 279,000.
Especially.
Huh?
We've had the Aztec too, I think that's what they call it, AS.
Were they bad?
Who was the one that did the airport road?
I'm thinking that was more seal.
Yeah, it was.
The couple things that you guys have to watch for if you don't accept the lowest bid is there is a chance of us getting sued. But you don't have to accept the lowest bid if you're not comfortable with their capabilities of doing a good job, or they don't have the equipment to do a good job, or they've
Past history?
Yeah, their past history.
Well, the problem was last time they didn't get it done in the fall like they were supposed to.
well, this contract, we set it up with an earlier completion date. I don't remember what the date
Yeah,
was.
we had that before too, and they still didn't get it done.
Supposed to be done by September.
And I was actually gonna call and check with the NADERF to see if they will defend if we don't take the lowest bid. For this reason, because we are in a situation up in Nelson County where Knife River is probably gonna build a project too, and they have a pretty poor history up there, so it's something that I think that you can do, maybe sued, but we do have, if there's a history, and if there's something to back it up, I think we're good.
Well, we did have quite a bit of problems with them, especially solving those problems. It went back and forth, it went back and forth a lot.
Well, wasn't the state the biggest problem with that, not the
Yeah.
And this was been through the state, it's been a federal aid project. I don't know if that changes the rules at all, but
I'm not sure without checking.
It seemed to me like the state was more forgiving than they needed to be with the contract.
Correct.
The oil was, there's a spec for the oil, but there wasn't a spec.
Yeah.
The state
And
came
they
back
gave
and
a
said the
waiver.
spec didn't mean anything, and
So it was like,
if I'm remembering the right
That's right.
project.
was that the oil testing results?
Yeah,
Yeah, some of those were,
they put a spec in the contract and then we didn't hold them to the spec.
So it
one
did.
one of those, there's a SIB test one, or the Sable Viscosity, one of those, it doesn't really,
Was not accurate.
well, and it doesn't,
Oh,
it doesn't predict how it's gonna perform
You know,
all that well, so that's something that, yeah, we run into. That I think has been changed since then.
If you guys wanna table it until the next meeting, I can do some research and
I
find out.
can't decide
there's
really
nothing to
until
decide yet.
Until they
That's
get
just-
the.
Oh, okay.
from
That's just the
state.
apparent low
They'll
bidder.
send out the,
The state will have review the bids, make sure they met the good faith efforts for DBE, that's 0% on all four of them, I looked that up on the DOT site, but, so I don't think that'll change their ranking, but they'll send out the commission that down later.
Okay, well then I'll do some research before that time to make sure that what I'm telling you guys is correct.
I guess one decision to make on that project, though, I think you'd mentioned that you're planning on using federal aid for construction engineering on that too, in which case you'd have to advertise for proposals on that. So, if you wanna make the motion to advertise for that, that would be a good time to do that since now we know who the contractor is. Well, you know, well, who likely ones are, and it really isn't gonna make a difference to the engineers which one of those gets it. They all do that kind of work, because they're only kind of work pretty much, except over 2 minutes of paving too, but.
So if you could explain to me again what you want?
If you guys do wanna use federal aid for construction engineering, if you guys wanna make a motion to advertise for that, so that can get put in the paper, and actually it will go on.
And which project is this again? This is
SC.
the seal coat on,
061, North Sutton, on Griggs County 3.
I'll make that motion to advertise for federal engineering, construction engineering on the seal coat project in the Sutton Road.
It's federal aid on a construction project, is that, or in federal aid for construction engineering cost?
Right. So it'd be the same as it was for the box culvert, where you have
Right.
proposals come in, you still have to do an interview, no matter how many, I mean, if you get one proposal or three, you still have to interview.
Okay.
And then you send in your questions, answers, your scoring of the proposals and all that to the DOT, and they'll confer with your award. Yep. And then after that.
Did you
after
get that
the
motion?
selection, then
I
the
did.
Successful firm will give you their estimate of hours, they'll send it to the district for their review and for government review in Bismarck, and then they'll put the contract on their format, the same as box culvert was.
Been moved by Mark, seconded by Sean to apply for federal aid on the construction engineering costs on
Request proposals for.
request for proposal. On which project?
SC 2003-061.
You get that?
Was it in 2003 what?
SC-2003 parentheses 061.
061, thank you.
Which is the.
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And I guess we've got, 90% plans for the Hannaford Road project. I did notice one thing that we had talked about early on was some patching ahead of it, and doing some dig outs ahead. I think we had figured that there might be like something like 1,000 feet we wanted to estimate full width. Is that still where everybody's at?
Sounds about right.
I can't remember what
I think
they,
there was 3 spots, we just figured about 300 feet or so for each one.
Yeah, I think maybe we figured 12 then, if there was 3 spots, yeah. So then we got the plans and then 2 special provisions to go along with it. One of them is for the adding, one's modifying the gravel spec to work better with the base one, and one is actually putting the base one in with a reclaimer. So those are spelled out, and that's what a lot of the effort went into, was developing those. So Wayne's had a chance to look at those, and I guess we'll add that patching in and put in the detail for that, and get you some plans ready to bid here.
okay,
Just want to kind of give you an update where we're at with that project.
sure.
That's all I have too. Yes.
Oh, these purchase agreements aren't under your agenda item?
What?
For those 2 lots up in Bedford?
Oh.
Did you guys look at
Could be,
these,
should be.
you guys look at these purchase agreements?
Purchase agreements, you guys.
The only thing that we discovered after the fact was that one correction that I made was it's all of lot 10
Okay.
on that one from Edlands. It's not the east 70 feet of lot 10, it's all of lot 10.
Okay. Yeah, you made the rest of it, listen again, right? You made the rest of the corrections, so we should be good.
On page 36, item 2, purchase price for Scully will be to Lennis Edlin and Elaine Edlin, the old Griggs County shop building in exchange for the entire lot 10. You can't deed a building. It's gotta be the description of the lot. It's gotta be the east half of lot 9.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Give
so-
them all of lot 9 then, or all of east half?
East half of that.
Right, so it says, right now, the old building is located on the east half of lot 9 after the fact. So what it says, Griggs County will deed to Lennis Edlin and Elaine Edlin the old Griggs County shop building in exchange for the entire lot 10. We have to deed the east half of lot 9.
Okay, I'll go change that right.
Yeah, and you can put parentheses, Griggs County shop building,
Yeah, I'll do that.
but we're gonna deed them the lot, not the building.
I'll go do that right now and get back, get it back.
I thought it was just part of the lot where the building was on, according to that map.
Mm-hmm. That's the 70 feet.
Yeah, where the black line is.
Right, wasn't it? Or 40 feet, excuse me.
I don't know, 30 roughly is the half, on the east half of 9 is where the building,
40 feet left.
more or less.
So if that's the case, then it's not all the east of 9.
No, it isn't.
It should be the west 30 feet of the east half of lot 9.
Well, you see, we're buying from the city the east 70 feet of lot 9.
Right.
Then we're gonna deed to Lennis the east 70 feet. And they have that in the description here.
Well, I thought they were just gonna deed them the area underneath the building.
No, the whole east half of lot 9.
That's what was drawn over there.
Right, the east half, right?
Okay, so you're not gonna end up with
The
any
west
of lot
half
9
of
now?
lot, west half of the east half of 9, it looks like, or not the west half, the west 20 feet.
Right. No, we're giving
Or
it the,
30, because it was.
but, well, doesn't matter how,
70 feet.
but then it's 30 feet.
Part of the building was on the other west half.
It's gotta be the east 110 feet to get that building in there.
We don't own it. All we got from the city is, all the city owns is that east 70 feet.
Well, how is Lennis gonna own that building then?
Yeah, he would.
He doesn't own the dirt under it.
Owns most of it. That dotted line's 40 feet.
Huh?
The building sits straddling the 70-foot line.
I see that. But if he has the east half of 9, then he's gonna own half the building.
Yeah.
That's right, and then he's going to deal with the owner of the other half to get the rest of the building.
Oh, he's gonna
That's
get,
why we can't deed him the building, we can only deed him the
right.
property, right?
Well, you don't deed improvements anyways.
No.
You deed real estate. So he's got a deal worked out for the rest of that, for the 40 feet or whatever, the east 40 feet,
Hopefully.
or
He's aware of it. He's aware of it.
the east 40 feet of the
like-
west half.
It's like 10 feet of Stangel's property goes into our building.
Oh, it's only 10 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So the rest of it is ours.
Yeah, that's not drawn to scale.
That's
exaggerated.
Not our pig, not our farm.
No.
And I thought we were gonna keep that corner lot there where that
The 40-foot.
40 foot.
Oh, no, well, that isn't how they drew it out here. I don't know if,
Well, that's why I questioned the way it was written up the first time was wrong.
Well, then, if that's the case, then this should be the west 30 feet of the east half of lot 9.
You know, or if you're gonna give them the whole 70 feet, then
the whole 70 feet.
that'd be all nine, or the east
East-
half of 9
east.
plus the building for some better property.
Oh, lot 10, though, that's the whole lot.
That's the whole lot.
Lennis owns that whole thing.
Right.
Is that enough? 31?
It's 40 by 60.
Oh, so we're buying, okay,
Maybe
east
10 feet
70,
on each
east
side.
70 feet of
Oh,
lot
yeah.
9, block 5.
You're gonna put your plow.
Well, that's right then, right?
Plow, your packer, your stuff. I understood we were gonna have that for putting that stuff, but whatever.
I mean, the building can't sit there. This was drawn out before we actually reached the deal with Lennis.
I think so, but whatever.
But I mean, the building would have to be moved, under the scenario where we just have the east, north half, or the whole of 10, we'll have to move the building to the east and park the stuff behind it, right?
If you don't have the 40-foot.
Yeah.
Right.
Lot 9, yeah.
I mean, we can rephrase
We
it,
have
and see
to.
it, so we can rephrase it and see what he says.
I haven't talked to him personally. You know, but
Well, how big is this building gonna be?
40 by 60.
40 by 60.
Aren't we getting all of lot 10?
Yes.
Well, you'll have,
We have
50 by
you'll have
40 feet
80 feet a lot to park stuff on.
on the backside.
Is there
Can't have
access?
it in the front door. You'd have to come in, you know, the block. I mean, it's only 10 feet on each side.
The building would have to be
5
moved,
feet.
the building would have to be moved to the east, and then there'd be a bunch of room in the back. Yeah, there's access from the alley in the back side.
So I was wondering, can we put it right on the line? So you have more space between, like, Rickford's buildings to the north, and they're already there and stuff.
On the south line?
Move to the south line, close to the south line.
You'd have to see what the setback requirements are in Benford and get a variance. Well, if you don't, then you can do whatever you want.
Well, if it's 40 feet, you only have 5 feet on each side, and you probably need that much to build it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's their overhangs.
It's 50, yeah, it's 50 feet wide.
Right, so then 40 out of that, you'd have 5 foot here, 5 foot here. Right.
Is there 1 foot overhang, or what's the overhang on that thing?
Mhm.
I can't remember if it's more than 1 foot or.
I mean, it could be the east 30 feet of the east half of Block 9.
Or the western.
Kind of what I was thinking, you know. There'd still be enough, you have some space on the east side of this building to put something that wouldn't park anything, but.
Well, I mean, we don't have to do any of it, we can build it right on the property we have there. But then we're faced with the whole, then we don't have ownership of the building we have. No, I guess it won't fit in there either, will it?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we could,
Would, that way, took it out of there.
Well, you're talking about lot 9?
Yeah.
there's not, yeah, if we took the building out of there, we could put it in there, but then then the building's going.
Right, and since you don't own the other half, and there's a building on it, can you even tear it down?
Probably not.
The city assumed
Yeah.
that the building was ours.
Yeah.
We occupied it for how many years?
But as far as the part that's on the west of the line.
But Lennis wants that building,
He does, yep.
so
Yeah.
if you're gonna change this whole program, then we can't take action on any of this today.
Can't remember what the time for what the overhang was. 2 feet or a foot or.
But it'll still
16
fit,
inches
and
or-
still gonna fit, there's 10 foot on either side. It
There's
was
5 foot line.
Yeah, I mean, a 10 foot hole. So it's
Yeah,
gonna fit.
right.
Unless you got 5 foot overhang.
So the only change is that east 70 feet?
Yeah, if you wanna change that and see if Lennis will go for it, that's, you know, if we don't.
Well, they took that out of there, right?
No, he was going to substitute the east half of lot 9 for the Griggs County shop building, because you can't deed a shop building. Page 36, paragraph 2.
Yeah, but if you do that, you don't, if you're gonna keep the
I know
40,
that-
40 feet of lot 9, you don't need all lot 10. I mean, it changes the whole thing.
I know.
So what do you wanna do? You wanna do this, or do you wanna do something else?
If you're gonna keep the 40 feet to build on, you can't, because it's only 40 feet.
So then we should do this.
Well, Wayne brought up the fact that we're not keeping the 40 feet there now. So Wayne wants to just.
We all
give-
knew that.
Wayne, yeah, just a discussion.
I mean, if it'll fit on the other lots, that's fine.
Have one half lot to put the structure on and then a half lot to park on.
Right.
That's-
It just, you won't be able to have the front door set back.
Yeah. You could have back ways, but
You could.
I think you can come around the back through the alley.
Yeah, there is lots of room in the alley there,
Or
and turn
some
in,
stuff,
yeah.
you know.
Yep, okay, so he's just gonna change that to the,
So it's still supposed to say east 70 feet of lot 10? Or it's not supposed to say that? It's supposed
East
to.
half of lot 9.
We have to purchase that from the city evidently, and then pay the $1,000 to the city so that we can give that to
right, so,
Lennis in exchange.
so it is east 70 feet, but that's half of block 9.
Yes.
Yeah. The other descriptions, I think, were halves though, so to
Right.
be consistent, I would stick with that.
Right, and that's what that's what, he has the east half here.
Okay.
It should have been up here, but then here he has the east 70 feet.
Oh, yeah, I would use half, because it's
Yeah.
not exactly, I mean, it real close, I mean.
Right, yep. say the,
So it should say the Griggs County will deed to Lennis and Elaine Edlund the east 70 feet of lot 9 in exchange for the entire lot 10.
yeah, but I think you should have the east half, because he's right, it's not exactly 70 feet, it's 70 feet and 2 inches or something.
Oh,
So
it
if we
is.
say half, it cuts it in half, yeah.
East half of lot 9. So do you guys want to execute these purchase agreements?
Well, it's wrong up, the description above that is wrong also.
I know, I crossed off the east 70 feet already.
Okay, you put all of lot 10?
We just put lot 10.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have to put all of lot 10.
Nope.
The legal description reads lot 10, block 5, original town site of the city of Griggs County.
Correct. And then the next paragraph reads,
Griggs County will deed to Lennis Edlund and Elaine Edlund the east half of lot 9 in exchange for, should this be lot 10? You don't need to put the entire lot 10. So,
East half of 9 and all things that stand upon it.
I don't want to go to law, that is.
do you guys want to make that work, or how do you want to?
Yep.
Okay, is that a motion?
I would make a motion that we put forward both these real estate purchase agreements as amended, and have them sent to the prospective purchaser and seller.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Anything else, Wayne?
I think so.
Okay.
There's a discrepancy in this first one. The first one also says the east 70 feet of lot 9, it should say the east half of lot 9.
Oh,
The 3 plows are keeping enough snow moved to keep the riders at bay.
Well, it was okay to keep up when we had not so much snow, but now when there's getting to be higher gusts and stuff, it's taking time to get around.
So do we need to
The 3
amend
blades
that?
that we have to.
well, I just corrected it.
Yeah. So I would make a motion, we correct the previous motion to include the following wording for real estate purchase agreement between the city of Bickford and the Griggs County Commission, political subdivision. The phraseology, the east 70 feet of lot 9 should be corrected to say the east half of lot 9.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
We have been keeping up pretty good. Always stuff. So it depends on what happens, like now, from now on, when it's, you got 6-inch snowfall or whatever, and, or the
Who seconded the
thing
motion?
like that.
What's that?
Because they might change some stuff again.
Yeah, on the first one from Binford, it said to 70 feet, and they pointed out that we should probably have the east half of lot line rather than the 70 feet, because 70 isn't an exact number.
Okay, I'm not sure, I'm gonna type to Kelly, I'm not sure how she records that, if we have to have a measurement or if we can have a half. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll check with her.
So that would be the purchase agreement with Binford, and, yeah, where it has the description, you had the east 70 feet, and
Yeah.
we changed it to the east
I
half.
think KLJ did mark out 70 feet though, right? Actually stake out 70 feet by 50.
I don't remember. I'd have to look at it again.
Well, yeah, you better check if you marked out 70 feet, then it's 70 feet, if you didn't.
And it's within.
Send me a message on Monday, then I'll sign it and get it to Troy so he can sign.
Okay.
It's not gonna snow.
That's what I keep saying, but
Time clocks.
they keep putting the dump gas.
Yeah, we've talked about this quite a few times. And,
You too.
Okay, that works. Great, thanks.
I think we should head into something, whatever it is, I don't know. We've tried to get it so that we could, would they be able to have anything that would hook into Dakota programs?
I don't know if he looked that way.
You know,
This is the only information that I got from Travis.
Well, that's the question we asked.
Mhm.
yeah.
Did somebody convey that question?
Yeah,
You guys
page
did.
38 here. And I talked to Travis. Yeah, it will hook into Dakota, it will hook into the time clock system that the social services uses. I don't know, he didn't tell me whether or not it will incorporate into Dakota programs in order to do payroll, which is the most important part of this note anyway.
Sure.
So I don't know that.
So we need to find that out still. Okay,
Does the saga of time clock still go on?
there you go. New courthouse, old courthouse.
Was there any way that we can call the guy from the Dakota program and say, is anybody else running a time clock?
I've asked him if there's any programs that will hook in, and he said no, that hasn't been working with anybody that does anything like that. But I mean, if Travis can get it to hook up, that's another thing.
I know Barnes County has an electric time clock system. I've seen it. They've got a keypad that they punch into as everybody walks in and all the else. So I don't know what they use, but they might be someone to contact to find out and see if it's working with the program.
See, Travis has a biometric option here where you thumbprint, and that would be, yeah.
So, need to ask Travis another question. Or the same.
So just to see if it will hook up to Dakota programs, and what other question? Just
See if
that?
it'll talk to it.
Okay.
So it
And
can
then-
be, so it can be used, it can be
Just for payroll.
imported, so that information can be imported. I mean, it isn't that big a deal, you're keying it in now anyways.
Right, yeah.
So even if you had to punch it in, it wouldn't be the end of the world. There's
Yeah.
No,
not
but the
300
idea
employees.
is that it would make the whole process simpler if it could.
Mm-hmm.
Would we put a clock up in Binford and then out in Sutton too, or for the maintainer, or what are you thinking there?
Well, it must,
It has the ability to do it over the.
Over the phone, okay?
or wouldn't you have some reader in at each shop that's hooked to the network?
Yeah, but see, like the maintainer operator at Sutton doesn't come to the town, and neither does the Binford one.
He doesn't have, there's no network connection out there?
No,
Oh, okay.
The the maintainer out there started his old shop, or
Yeah.
his shop on his farm, he paid rent for that.
I see.
But it has the ability to do it over the
Okay.
phone.
Okay.
That one that social services is using, Mary showed me that, and that's on the phone too.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then the phone will record the GPS coordinates too, or the
I see.
location where you punched.
I see. Old courthouse, new courthouse?
well, we called NDSU again, they won't get back to us.
They were just here.
Yeah. This gentleman
Got a
for,
bad track record.
yeah,
They don't wanna commit to making a decision on it, or?
I don't know what his deal is.
He was very good about getting back to me. I mean, he would answer his phone very quick, was very good about contact. And then once I said that one of my commissioners was going to be in contact, I can't get a hold of him again. So I don't know if he's
Different phone.
gone or what. I mean, I've tried his office phone, I've tried his cell phone, and I can't get through to anybody. I can't even get a receptionist.
You know
at
what
this
office
point.
he's in?
The dean's office.
You know what number or what building or whatever? You know all of his information.
You gonna drive down there?
I'm going through on Monday.
I graduated from there and I don't even know my way around there
Well, that's
anymore.
what I'm wondering.
It's gotten so much bigger.
Yeah,
And they've changed the names of some of the buildings.
I'm sure.
I can get you something.
Okay. Anything else for Old
Not what it
Courthouse?
says here. Pretty good.
Future business. I was asked one more time about mailbox banking. Is somebody looking into it? Bank of mailboxes at the front door?
You guys got some information and never took any action on it, so I never went forward. Mary brought you guys a list of the mailboxes.
I remember something about that. A little bit.
You guys never did anything with it, so I didn't either.
How much were they again? Do you have that information anymore?
I can go back and look at when that was.
I thought we were waiting to find out if the post office would
I contacted the
Pick up.
post office a while ago, and
pick up.
yeah, I contacted them a while ago. They didn't get back to me, and then Mary came to you guys.
Well, now would be a good time. There's a new postmaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was why we didn't take action before, because we wanted to know if they would pick up.
And deliver.
Well, delivery they would, but pick up, if they wouldn't pick up, it doesn't solve our problem. We're still going to the post office.
Yep.
Every day. That was why we didn't take any action.
Well, they pick up everywhere else.
Yeah, but if it's on the wrong side of the street, they
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what caused
Even if you
the
put your
delay
flag
before,
up?
and then I don't remember if we got a response or no response, and then we forgot about it. But that was the hang up, because why just have them deliver if we have to send someone out to
Okay.
pick up?
Can you ask them, Sam?
Absolutely.
Then
we were waiting
Put
on
that on the
post
next
office was
agenda.
my
Okay.
last
Okay,
recollection.
I didn't remember that part.
No, we were waiting at the post office. And
Yeah, we should.
in the rain or snow or dark at night, must have got them.
Yeah.
Move adjourned. Been moved by Sean that we adjourn. Is there a second? Seconded by Neil. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hold the same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 4:45. Next meeting Friday, March 22nd.